What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining the That Ain't Bad podcast once again. Whether you're at home, in the shower, in the bathroom, at the gym, in the car, whatever it is, if you're listening to this, you're obviously a really cool person. So today on this episode, I'm actually going to talk with Jimmy again, my neighbor and really good friend, and we're going to get into some of the shenanigans we started at the beginning of 2021, the summer. So I'll let him introduce himself again, and then we'll kind of get right on into it.
All right. Thanks, Rob, for having me on again. I appreciate it. And for you guys who don't remember, my name is Jimmy Judge. Hopefully you listen to our first podcast and you kind of have a quick synopsis of who I am, but I'll kind of describe a little more into detail about when Rob and I met and the great ideas that he's come with this summer, because as I've talked to my wife, you know, this has been the summer of my life, actually moving into the winter too, of just actually getting to do stuff that typically I wouldn't do, because like I said, I live in a suburban neighborhood, and it's a nice neighborhood. I mean, we're talking about, we have a little pond in the back, there's waterways, and a lot of older folks here, big houses. Now, don't get it wrong, I don't have a lot of money. I'm that idiot that bought that house that hasn't been renovated in 30 years and lost all my money in that house, and I've just been rebuilding it up. So, handy kind of a little bit, but, you know, just a weekend hack. But still, live in a suburban neighborhood, not much goes on. Like I said, you're just mowing grass and just watching people pass by. But as I said, you know, we met Rob, and with this relationship with Rob that I met and his brother Marcus, you know, I started coming out of my shell a little bit and heading on down to the backyard. And every night, I love it, every night they were having a fire going on. I mean, these guys had so many fires, they actually burnt out their fire pit. But, you know, I can't let them just stop rolling on that. So what do? I go run back home and get my fire pit, because, hell, that thing just sits in the backyard doing nothing. Roll over his place, and so we just kept good times rolling. And for those who don't know Rob, he's always thinking. He's not scheming, but he's just thinking. He's got great ideas, and I'm all about it, because I want to have fun. I haven't been doing much in my life, I feel like. I just had this very vanilla flavor going on. Well, Rob's talking to me the first night. We're sitting there drinking beers, and he's like, hey, I want to build a pontoon on this water back behind us. My first thought is, hell yeah, I want to do it. And then the next thought is, this is a suburban neighborhood, dude. I was like, these people are going to shit their pants if they see a couple of slack-jawed yokels just fucking floating around on a dock. So, of course, I was in. You know, we had to make it happen. You know, so that's where it started, is one idea. Well, what Rob doesn't know, I'm the same way as him, is once we get going on something, I'm going to roll with it. Like, we're going to see it all the way through. So Rob starts talking, and, you know, whether it's drunk talk or not, he starts telling us about how we can build a pontoon boat. And he's got all these plans, and we kind of look up on YouTube, like, of course, everyone does. You got to see how you get some ideas from that. And he's like, dude, I'll buy the materials. You just help me build it. I'm in, man. If I don't have to pay any money and I get a free ride. For those of you guys that don't know already, I pretty much freeload off him, which is pretty sad. You know, I always stealing his dip. He's supplying me with hunting gear, and now he's going to supply me with materials, and I just get to build this boat with him, and we get to go out and drink on it. So, yeah, it's a win-win situation for me. So Rob tells me what he wants, gives me an idea, and that's when I go straight to the drawing board. And that night, I swear, I had a lot of work I had to do. Fuck it, I didn't care. It didn't matter. I stayed up all night drawing plans, and I mean, I was using a ruler and everything just to get this done. And the next day, I pop out and Rob, here it is. What do you think?
Yeah, no joke. He's not making this up. I was sitting there. We've been drinking a few beers, little cold beers. We've been drinking damn Coors Light. Mm-hmm. Who doesn't like them old Coors Light? Amen to that. If you want to sponsor us and give us free beer, I'll drink it for you for free anytime you want.
Yeah, I'll consume also.
Like whenever you need me to drink beer, I'll drink it for you. But we're out there in the backyard, and we're drinking beer. And, I mean, it's a nice night. It's a nice night out there right now. And we're drinking Coors, and we're listening to some good music, some good tunes. We're crushing beer cans, making our normal pile. We're not alcoholics, by the way. Let me start that off. Not alcoholics.
No, just normal people.
We're just normal people, whether anyone wants to admit it or not. Everyone loves drinking beer.
Yeah, especially when you got friends out back there at fire. I mean, you can't beat that.
So I had just came from Louisiana for the last 6 years, and down there we did a whole bunch of fun shit. There was no stopping the limits. I was down with some of my buddies. We'd just come up with ideas and just do it. We were building pit bikes, and I would like replace the pistons. We'd build these motors up to where the pistons were slapping out the top of the motor, and we'd run those things down into the ground. And I got here, and like he said, and he explained from the beginning, this was like a suburban area. This is a cul-de-sac, a lot of older people, and all around the lake is a lot of older people as well. Mm-hmm. And it was unique the way I came from Louisiana and then I moved into here. It was a whole new world for me because originally I was from Alaska. So take Alaska, then take Louisiana, and now I'm in a suburban area, and I'd never been there before.
It was a perfect mix, though, because he had so much of these ideas and things that he had done in his past, stuff that I just lived vicariously through his stories. And I was like, screw this. I want to get involved. I want to do something. And that's when I was like, we got to make this happen. Who gives a shit if it's a suburban? They'll all jump on board when they see how much fun we're having.
So we was drinking beer, and I got this lake right here behind me, and I'm thinking, man, I can go fishing. So I'm always fishing on that lake because I love catching fish, too, if it's not hunting season. So I'm catching fish. I'm drinking beer. I got catfish lines out as we were doing that, which I'm also going to tell a little quick story, or let Jimmy tell you a quick story here in a second, and then we'll get into the rest of the podcast. But we're fishing and everything like that, and I thought to myself, how nice would it be to go out on this lake? So I said, hey, Jimmy, let's build a pontoon boat.
Yeah, and I was in, and like you said, we were fishing. Now, I got to bring this back a little bit. So I think every man thinks he's a fisherman. I'm a Walmart fisherman, or I'll just get those live bait. I have the basic pole from there. So we're sitting there casting rods and everything like that, and he sees my get up, and he just looks at me and just kind of, okay. So he showed me how to tie a hook, which, if anything, that just took away any manhood that I had. But I had to suck it up, And
that takes a lot for a man to say.
Yeah, and this is just the start of how I've been. So he shows me what size hook did I have on there. I don't know. He's probably catching guppies and.
Yeah, he had like a size half, if that's even a hook. This thing was so small. It was for damn sunfish and stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't even know they had the hooks had sizes. So he goes and runs out and gets me a real hook.
Size 4.
Yep, size 4. And then he sees me trying to tie it, and I'm tying it like can't tie knots, tie lots kind of deal. And he just once again, give me that. So he ties my hook for me. So there's my balls. They're gone.
I showed you though.
You did show me.
I didn't just tie it for you. I said, which one of your two dads taught you how to tie one of these knots?
Hey, I learned real quick, though. But so he puts it on there, and now he's he's fishing with hot dogs. I never thought to do that. I thought that's genius. So he gives me a hot dog. Once again, like I said, he cuts a damn hot dog up for me, and I start shoving it on the damn hook, and once again, I'm not doing it right, so he helps me out. Well, the whole time we're doing this, he has a dog. And this isn't any dog. This is a big old Akita, just sitting there right there with us. And this is a hungry dog.
It's a big dog. I
got a hook, a hot dog, and I'm wasting time trying to get a hot dog on a hook, and I got a big old Akita sitting next to me. Well, if you can't see what's happening, you're about to find out. So I went and I gave it a little slack, and I'm ready to rip this hot dog, man. I'm ready to send it out, and I just go, whiz, but nothing goes plop. And the next thing I know, Rob looks and his dog's got something in his mouth. I sure as shit, going catfishing, hooked a goddamn dog.
So I look back, and I'm doing my own now that I tied Jimmy's for him, which no issues there. We all got to learn from somewhere. But my dog is sitting out behind us just kind of watching because she always just chills with us. And so I'm looking down at my hook, and Jimmy's about to just rip this hook out there, send it out into the oblivion. And I just, for some reason, I had this feeling I need to look and see where Jimmy's casting. So I turn my head to the left, and the hook is on the ground with this hot dog. And as he's back in action, about to rip this thing, my dog Zoe grabs the hot dog in her mouth. Jimmy's about to be mid-swing. I go, Jimmy! And I jump over there, and I grab my dog's mouth, and I, pry her mouth open. Like, I'm trying to pry this Akita's mouth open. And in the back of her throat, this is not a joke. In the back of her throat is this size 4 circle hook with this double barb on a hot dog in her throat, and Jimmy was about to send it to the moon. So I pry this dog's mouth open, and I'm head bobbing this dog. I'm like, Zoe, let the dang hot dog out. I'm like bobbing her head, and she's like, ah.
I'm looking in the water.
He has no idea what's going on.
No idea what's going on. And then I turn right, and then I figured out real quick when he has his arm from his elbow down into that dog's mouth, and he pulls out this fucking hot dog and this hook, and I just sat there. I was like, well, this is the second time I've been with Rob, so I guess I'll just walk on home now.
I was like, oh my God. I said, if I wouldn't have looked and he would have hooked that thing, that hook would have went right into her her throat, or whatever it was. It would have been immediate surgery, something along those lines.
We wouldn't be talking right now. We probably wouldn't be friends. So,
we still would be friends.
Yeah, Rob saved the friendship by saving his dog, so that works out. And there's no worse feeling than being that idiot, the one that doesn't really know enough, and you don't want to be dangerous, and I was dangerous that day. And
he's not giving himself enough credit. He's not an idiot. Don't let him say that. It was just funny how that whole situation happened, how we learned how to tie a knot on a hook, and we learned what hook to use, and hot dogs for catfishing, and then he hooks my dog.
And this is like Rob's first week of knowing who I am, so I'm lucky that he stuck it out with him. At least I guess I'm nice to hang around, at least we have stories, right?
And the cool part about that is I'm not like a real judgy person, and I like people that are like-minded like me. And I mean, it was an accident. He didn't try doing it. So, I mean, whatever. It didn't happen. Here's what it boils down to. If the dog would have got hooked and it would have been bad, it happens. Obviously, I feel really bad for the dog. Would have got it taken care of. Everything would have been good. Me and Jimmy would still be friends the same to this day. Actually, it just would have been a little worse of a story, I guess, per se, but I mean, like, it's still pretty funny. So when it happened, he was like, dude, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna get mad at that. Accidents, like, who gives a crap? Like, accidents happen. The dog's fine. She's still trying to get the dang hot dog. I'm like, Zoe, get out of here.
Yeah,
get out of here. So anyway, I'll let him go a little bit more onto it, but we're gonna get back to this pontoon boat.
Yeah, luck we moved on from that. And actually that night, once the dog cleared out and I could actually get the hot dog in the water, we actually were just grabbing catfish. I actually remember left and right there. We were reeling in. So that was a good time. But, that's where we're starting still talking about this pontoon boat. And now that I got a hot dog in the water, he doesn't have to worry as much. So he can let his guard down and he's starting to talk about what he wants to do.
Hey, real quick, how many fish you catch?
Oh, I don't know. Why you got to rub that in my face?
But that next morning, right, because we was talking about drinking, we were drinking beer, drinking Coors once again.
Yeah,
once again, Coors is life. And if the Rockies are cold and the beers will go down, that's all I'm saying. Anyway, we talked about building this pontoon boat, and we were like, yeah, let's do it. And Jimmy was like, yeah, I'm all about it. And typically, I mean, no offense to you, typically when I say, hey, let's do something, people are like, yeah, I'm about it. And then eventually they kind of just like, nah, I'm not going to do it. And this is kind of my first couple of times hanging out with Jimmy. So I'm like, okay, not that I'm not expecting much, but I'm not expecting.
I threw a hot dog down your dog's throat, so I could see you were a little worried about that.
I'm not expecting to fully go through with this pontoon boat immediately.
Oh, but I had to have redemption. So for me, there was no choice. I had to show him that I could do something. And I will say that I can build stuff. Like I said, I had a background in construction. I did HVAC stuff. So I was handy enough. So I was like, I can fix this. We're going to make this boat. We're going to make this dream come through. We're going to fix this friendship because we got to hang out. So
he was thinking of it that way. I didn't think of it that way at all. He's over here saying all that. I was just like, yeah, I'll see him in the morning with a hangover.
Yeah, well, what he doesn't understand is, I thought this was going back to my boring life. I was like, I'm just going to sit back up there and I'm just going to look down and live vicariously through these guys hanging out. Like that was my one chance, like a kid going to school first day and he just fucked it up.
So, sure as shit, I wake up the next morning, as any man would, or any woman would, with the frontal lobe pounding in the head. And I said, good night. This is hurting real bad. That's a hangover. But it's still a dang good night. And I wake up and I get out of bed and normal day goes on and I go down to talk to Jimmy. I just go down and say, what's up, Jimmy? How you doing? And you know what this man comes out with? He comes out with a piece of paper that I still have to this day. I really do. We're going to frame that thing, make copies of it and frame it, of blueprints, the amount of wood, the cost estimate, and plans on how we're going to build this thing.
Yeah. I went straight into the books. I still have all my books. I do the weight bearing load, and we were figuring out
everything.
Yeah, we're down to it. Rob had a bead on how to get some 55-gallon barrels, which was one of the best ideas ever. Super cheap. How much were you able to get those?
Yeah,
for?
I went on damn Facebook Marketplace, and this old hilljack back in the woods was selling these 55-gallon drums for $10 a piece. Yeah. So I called him up. I said, hey, man, can I come get some barrels? And he said, can you come get some? He said, take them all. I said, I'm not taking them all. I just need 8 of them.
So we just fit what we could in that two-wheel drive truck of his,
All right. Yeah, two-wheel drive.
So we load them up and bring them on over here. And this is the start of, actually putting something together, not having, a stupid kid or anything like that. This is us doing from the ground up. And we got one of his other buddies in here, this roommate, Dalton Hayes. Now, this guy, he's backwoods, too. He's from Missouri, and he's all about this. But he was skilled in hunter. He's done fisherman, but he wasn't that much in carpentry.
Let's say he had stuff to learn, per se, about carpentry work and building and stuff like that. Fortunately enough, my mother, actually, and my father were both carpenters, electricians, plumbers. My mom laid concrete and bricks. So when I was growing up, my little brother and I, we weren't going to show or doing whatever. It was, hey, I'm tearing down this wall today. We're going to hang some drywall and do all this stuff. So luckily I got to learn enough to take care of myself, and if I needed to build something, and like Jimmy's already stated, he's not giving himself enough credit. This man can build anything. This dude is a hard worker. He's always working. Whatever it is, he's building. He's learning. If he doesn't know how to do it, he'll know how to do it. That's what kind of guy he is. So you have me and him who know exactly what we're doing. We got the plans in our head, and then we got Dalton, which is a really good friend of ours, who is learning. So I think it was honestly the best setup for this kid to learn.
It was too, and Dalton was so into it. So we have to go get our supplies, and so Dalton's in. He jumps in the truck. We run up to Home Depot, and we take my sick-ass 2-wheel drive truck up there. 8-foot bed, so that's the redemption.
Yeah, I only got a 6-foot bed.
Yeah, so we pick up all the lumber, and so I went straight to the lumber. I knew what we needed, so I'm picking out each board, and Rob and them are thinking even more ahead about what we need. I mean, we're going to make this thing sick. So they go ahead and they get pads, like these weightlifting pads you put on it to have a cushion on top of the dogs. Memory foam, thank you. And then Dalton threw in the money for that fake artificial turf, which for
real nice turf.
Yeah, and it's a must. When you're going to build that, you're going to want something on there because that heat from that sun is just going to bake, and that's not any fun. But that grass makes a huge difference, stays cool. So we grabbed all that and head on back to the backyard. And this is a Saturday we started.
Don't let him jump too far ahead. We're gonna get a little bit more into this Home Depot run.
Oh yeah.
Let's get a little more into this Home Depot run. Jimmy has got the pencil in his ear. He's got the plans in his hand, and he's in full builder mode. Right? Like this is Toys R Us for men.
And I'm not paying a dime for
and
this.
Women.
So I'm just pulling whatever I can, whatever I need.
Yeah. So he's all in it. Me and Hayes, we're thinking of other stuff. I'm thinking, damn, if we're going to sit on a pontoon boat, I don't want to just sit on a floating dock.
Yep.
I want pads. I want grass. I want the whole 9 yards. I want to be able to lay on this thing, get drunk, and be fine.
Yeah. Oh no, we were gonna enjoy this thing. This wasn't just gonna be something you can't sit on or anything like that. It's kind of comfortable.
So Jimmy's getting all the wood, and this is what me and Hayes do. So first of all, I call my mom to ask which is the proper screws. I apologize for everyone out there listening. Screws. I do know what I'm talking about. I asked my mom. I said, "Hey, what do you think the best one is for WeatherTech? It's going to be sitting in the water, going into 2x6s or whatever wood we're using." I was like, "What do you think?" And my mom and dad are just absolute geniuses on this. So I start talking to her, and she's telling me, "Hey, you need this kind of this and this and this," and I'm like, "All right, cool." So me and Dalton are over there getting all these supplies, and we get the 400 count of screws, and we're getting everything we need, right? And I was thinking to myself, I said, "Hey, we're getting 55-gallon drums. I already had them. They're bright white." I was like, maybe, just maybe, and this is what ran through my head, which might not. I mean, I don't know if you guys think this might be stupid or not, but I was like, them damn commercials with that dude who he's got the screen door as a boat, and he puts damn Flex Seal on it, and he's like floating out on the lake in Flex Seal. I said, man, why don't I buy a whole bunch of Flex Seal?
Yep.
And we'll just spray the shit out of these barrels so that there will be no leaks on them. Yeah,
because this is one of those things too. This is what went through our head is we could build this massive thing, but as soon as we put it in the water, if those things have any leak in them, it ain't a boat
sinking.
No more.
Yeah, it's sinking.
No, it's a reef that we've just built. That's a lot of money we dumped into it. And I'm telling you, Flex Seal doesn't sponsor us, but holy crap, that stuff works because that thing is still floating to this day. We have pictures of it that you guys are going to have to take a look at because it did a great job of sealing it up because those things were plastic. And anyone knows that stuff warps. And that Flex Seal just has been holding that thing for the whole summer and winter. And that thing is just still out there floating like a champ.
And we'll get more into it, but we've had a lot of people on those things. So I buy the Flex Seal, and Dalton's like, "Hey, I want to contribute to this. I want to buy the turf." And so for all you guys out there who know, you have good turf and you have shitty turf. Yep. Let's be real here. It's just the matter of the fact. Dalton buys the good turf. So we get a 12 by 12 because that's how big we're building this pontoon boat. We didn't even mention that. This is 12 foot by 12 foot pontoon boat. And we're basically building a deck.
Yes.
That's what we're building. We're basically building a deck, and we're slapping up 4 55-gallon drums, which we then did the math. See, there's some reason to what we think about here. It may be a redneck idea, but when we put down to it, we did it right.
Yeah, we had over 2 tons of displacement that we were able to do with that. And now remember, that wood is pressure treated, so it's heavy. It's still wet green wood that we had on there.
You could put a car on this pontoon boat. If you could fit a car on there, it would hold it.
Yeah, and that's what we needed. We weren't going to have 2 guys on it. We were going to have a whole mess of load people on it. So we got all our stuff, and we head back. And we start building it, and we build it like redneck style because this sucker's so heavy. We start screwing it in. We realize we can't fit the barrels under it, so we have to lift it up and put it on cinder blocks. This is all going on in a backyard of
in a suburban area.
And these people are watching us. It's a beautiful May day, and there's people all in their back, and they just hear us just hammering and drilling it out and all this work, and they see this big thing. They have no idea what we're doing because it looks like we're framing a wall. And we have it all set up, and then the barrels start coming out. We're spraying those, and we put it in. And I'm telling you, we had an audience just watching us, and they were cheering us on.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out exactly how, because you write down a plan, and then the plans never go as planned, so you got to figure some kind of contingency plan out. So we were trying to figure out how exactly we were going to fit these barrels in there, and we ended up making. Let me see. We had 4 barrels, so we had 4 boards that were going on cross center, and they were holding these 55-gallon drums in. So, and then we used straps.
Yep, that was a good call.
I called my mom. I called my dad on this one. I called my dad. I said, "Hey, Dad, what's the best way you can think about doing this?" And without hesitation, he said, plumber's tape. And I thought maybe the wrong thing, but he was talking about the aluminum
strap.
bands, plumber straps. That's what it is. Aluminum bands that have holes in them every 4 inches, and then when you cinch them tight, it cinches the bands tight and holds it up tight. So we used 3 bands per barrel. So we had 8 barrels, 3 bands, and we got underneath it. This thing could have fell in it. We were just doing some.
We have some great pictures
shit.
working underneath this thing. Anyone else OSHA probably would have lost their mind on it, but
and that dock. And strike me dead, God, if I'm lying. That thing weighed probably about 1,000 pounds.
Oh, easily.
No doubt.
Yeah. So we finally get this all built, and now he brings in the next problem. We built this thing, we have it on the yard, and we have it on the yard. How the hell we put this in water? Because we have riprap back there. I mean, we're talking about boulders that are there, bigger than, you're talking about 3 feet size to stop the erosion that's going on. So this is the next problem we had to encounter is how are we going to get this thing into the water? Well, we saw we had 2 2x6s left over, so we had extra cut, and we laid them as ramps, and then this is where we just muscled it.
Well, we only muscled it because, like he talks about, we got some nosy neighbors. They're everywhere.
Yep.
Of course, when the work is done, which, by the way, we built this 12x12 platform in 7 hours.
Yep.
From start to finish, completely done, 7 hours.
Had pancakes made for us, too, while we're doing it.
Yeah, great pancakes. His wife makes the most amazing food, by the way.
Yeah, but of course, she's got like the old Johnny Cash song. She comes walking in. She's like, "Honey, let me see this thing float."
Yeah.
She had the doubt in her eyes.
So once we finished it, like normal, you have everyone come from the woodworks when the work is done to enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. And these guys were like, "Oh, yeah, I can't wait to get on." And I was like, well, hell, if you're going to get on it, you're going to help us lift this motherfucker.
So we had 7 guys.
Yes.
Trying to lift 1,000+ pound floating dock because now we got the barrels on, we got everything.
Yep.
This thing is fully ready to go.
And this was that moment where all we had was a ramp. This was it. We were done. And this was our only choice. And we had no idea how this was going to go. And we were just sending this over the rocks. And it was either going to go or not. And I don't know still to this day how it slid down as well as it did. And mind you, Rob had the foresight to tie a line to it. So we didn't just shoot this thing out and it goes floating, because that probably would have happened if he not thought of that last second.
100%. I was like, hey, why don't we tie this off to the damn porch or something like that? So when we push it off, cool, we got this nice dock, but now it's just in the middle of the lake. So we look at each other right before we do this, right? Because we're leading this little project. And we looked at each other and we said, well, one of 2 things is going to happen.
Yep.
We push this son of a bitch in, and it floats, and we have a badass boat for the summer. Or 2, we push it in, and $1,000 sinks to the bottom, and the fish got a new home.
Yep. And we were just going to fish from that spot. I'd put on waders and stand on that goddamn thing.
Yeah, we'll stand in that thing. We'll stand waist deep in waders just to say we're standing on our dock.
Hell yeah.
Because if we're paying that much money to make it, we're going to use it.
Oh.
So we said, we looked at the other guys, and we said, all right, guys, this is it. 1, 2, 3. We picked this thing up somehow.
Yeah.
And we put it on these 2x6s, and we just threw it. We just sent it.
That thing just sailed, skimmed right across. It went so fast, I was still holding on to the damn thing on the side, thinking I need to help it. And I go into the riprap and almost toss over in the water, but I didn't care. I was just making sure that boat went out. And it went out.
It went under, too.
Yeah.
It went under for a quick second.
It plowed down in the water, and then it popped right up. And that's when we knew this summer was set.
We're good.
We had it. We had this boat floating, and there's natural progressions we had with it, and we'll talk about that on a future podcast. But this was a start of summer with Rob, and this was my first project, and I felt like I redeemed myself. I know, like you said, he didn't care, but for me, that was huge, because now I knew we were ready to party.
And so, you know what we did that night? What did we do?
We partied.
Yeah, we tied that thing off to the deck.
Oh.
And we had a 2x6 off of the riprap walking onto this, and we set a fire pit on it. And we drank Coors.
And we used that 2x4 to get us in and out from this tethered line.
Yep, we drank Coors on that boat with a fire on the lake.
We had all our neighbors around it. It was the biggest spectacle, and there's people cheering us on. We had people asking us and coming down to build us one. That's how we changed this neighborhood. And Rob talked about when he came in too. He's like, hey, is there one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this neighborhood, and I'm going to bring it back to old school and bring it to redneck and get my Louisiana and my Alaskan native stuff back in here. And we're gonna make these people have fun.
Yeah, sure shit. I guess it worked out because the minute we put that pontoon boat, that also was going to go one of two ways. The neighbors were going to absolutely hate us, or they were going to love us.
Yeah.
And what did it turn out to be?
Dude, they loved us, and it was a start of more stories to come because that just opened up a whole new world to us. Now we were able to get on that water and go at our own will.
And that right there was the start of the 2021 summer.
Absolutely.
So, Jimmy, thank you for joining me. There's definitely going to be more podcasts with Jimmy on here because we have so many good stories, and we don't want to drag this on. And we're going to cut it into separate segments to just make these stories great.
Guys, thanks for having me on here. I appreciate you.
And like I say from the beginning, thank you for joining us no matter where you're at. If you're listening to this, you're a really cool person. I want to let you guys know that this is unfiltered, uncut, unedited, just raw, everyone talking, having a good time, stories from people like us and you. So thank you for checking on it. That ain't bad.